Hi there. Today we'll discuss about IELTS Task 1 Process Diagram. How you can write a perfect essay on process diagram. So this is a process which is right in front of you. Let's see what this diagram is about first. Okay. And this diagram, see the question first. The illustrations show how chocolate is produced. So first you understand the question. So what is your question? Show how chocolate is produced. Production of chocolate is described in a process diagram. You have to summarize the information. That's it. So summarize the information by selecting, reporting the main features and make comparisons. So I always say in my writing that wherever it is relevant, you have to find the comparison and the main features. Okay, so it is always best, and how efficiently you can summarize these points into an essay. That's what count your score or bands. So let's see what this process or what kind of diagrams are there. Let's go by diagram. See, the first diagram is in front of you. These are the processes described in a pictorial form. You can see it. The first diagram is about how coca tree. So understand that this is a coca tree and it has got red pods, and it is especially grown in South America, Africa and Indonesia. This is your first process diagram. What is your second process diagram says? Your second diagram says about the pods are harvested, and once you found these pods and these pods are harvested, and then what happens? This is the inner portion is called white coca beans. This is the beans and it is in white color. Okay, and what about your third diagram? It is about the beans are fermented. The ripe red pods are shown here. It is where it is grown and the place names are given. Okay, in the second process diagram, how the pods are harvested and how the white beans are taken out. On the third one, and these beans, these white beans are fermented. And on your fourth diagram in front of you, it's about the how these beans are spread in the sun to dry its content, beans. And then what happens in the fifth? These are put into large sacks for to move into somewhere else. Okay, and then your sixth one explains about transported by train. So this is by they given to shifted to train and with the help of efficient packing. Seventh diagram, what is shown here, it is taken to the factory. So once it is transported, it is taken to factory for further processing. And then what your eighth diagram says about the beans are roasted. Okay, and then what's your ninth diagram? And in the ninth diagram, it's about how the beans are crushed and the outer shell is removed. Okay, and our final diagram, this is about how the inner parts are pressed and the liquid chocolate is produced. So this is about our diagram. I'll explain this diagram how it is done. Okay, so what happens when coca tree is produced? A red pods, it is taken and the white coca beans is taken out for processing, and then once beans are fermented and these beans are spread into the sun for drying purpose, and then these beans are put into sacks and then transported by train, and then it is taken to the factory for further processing, and there what happens? The beans are roasted and then the outer shells are crushed, and then what happens? The inner parts are pressed and the chocolate is produced. So this is your process diagram. So what you have to understand, you have to find the sequence. Okay, so you got the sequence and you have to summarize by how many stages. So here how many stages are there? 10 stages. And what this is about? Chocolate production. Okay, so you got it. What is the final product? You get it. That is your chocolate. You got it. So this is our summary of what the diagram is about. So when you get a diagram like this, you have to find the real sequence of the stages and how many stages are there and what is the final outcome of this process. You got it. So let's move to the sample now. The diagram explains what the process for the making of chocolate. See what I said? Your introduction should contain what this process is about. So my first sentence is about it is about the process, how to make chocolate. You got it? And when the author or someone else reads your essay, and they will understand what this process is about. And there are total 10 stages in the process, beginning with the growing of pods on the cocoa trees and culminating the production of chocolate. So what I said when I explained the process, I have said that you have to exactly summarize what this diagram is about in introduction. Okay, your introduction part is very important, and someone else reads your essay and they should understand what this process is about and how many stages are there from where to when. That's it. Okay, from where, you understand, from where to when. What is here where? Where is about from the cocoa tree, and when means the production of the chocolate. And so you got it. Like this process is all about this. I hope you understood the introduction. And let's move to the further aspects. To begin, so you can write anything to start with, or firstly or primarily, anything you can write. I usually go for primarily or to begin with, so anything you can write, up to you. Okay, the cocoa tree comes from the cocoa tree, which is grown in the South American, African continent and the country of Indonesia. See, my first sentence is about how from where this is produced. Okay, so clearly in our diagram it is given it is in South American, African continents and the country of Indonesia. So I have started my essay and saying that how the chocolate is produced from the cocoa tree, and which is grown in these three continents. You got it? And then let's move to further. Once the pods are ripe and red, that is our first part is done, and this is our second process. Okay, red and ripe, they are harvested. So it is given clearly. So always remember that you have to use present tense. Okay, because in process it is always best to use present. Okay, because if you don't use present tense, it won't look good at all, and you do not know because when it is produced and what time, nothing. Okay, so it is better to go with your present tense. Okay, and the second thing diagram, it is about the pods are ripe and red and they are harvested, and the white cocoa beans are removed. So our second process is done. Got it? And following a period of fermentation, they are then laid out on a large tray so that they can dry under the sun. Okay, so they are clearly given like in the fourth diagram, and how it is clearly spread in a large tray so that it can be dried for the further processing. So you got it, my first paragraph. So it starts from the ripe tree, and then the white seeds are out and it is fermented, and then it is the beans are removed and it follows the further fermentation, and then it is put into a large tray. And then why we do that? It's for just drying purpose. So the same thing, you can see the diagram here. See the diagram here, same thing. What the red pods are grown in these countries, and then the second stage, the pods are harvested and the white beans are taken out, and then these beans are fermented, and then these are spread into the sun for further drying. You got it? That's what about our first paragraph. So the next paragraph, that means final paragraph, either you can write besides, moreover, or any connectives. Okay, for the simple understanding only I have used next. They are placed into large sacks. Okay, it is clearly given, and then delivered to a factory, or you can say like transported. Okay, same word, you can use it, no problem, because they have used it, transported to a factory. They are then, what happens once they reach there, they are then roasted at a temperature of 350 degrees, after which the beans are crushed and separated from the outer shell. So how they have discussed, you understand. And in the final stage, this inner part is left pressed and the chocolate is produced. I'll explain with the diagram, with the help of diagram. Then these beans are what they did, put into sacks and transported by train. Got it? And then what happened? Then they are roasted. Once it is reached to the factory, they are then reached to a temperature of 350 degrees Celsius. Okay, you have to mention, because they have given how many degrees Celsius temperature is given, so you have to mention 350 degrees. After which the beans are crushed and then separated from here what happens, the beans are crushed and outer shell is removed. And in the final stage what happened, in the final stage, this inner part that is left is pressed and the chocolate is produced. Always remember that when you write an essay like this, you have to write in the final stage and the first stage, because first and final stage is very important in a process, because this ours is a process diagram. So we cannot to from here to till there, nothing like that. You have to say that in the beginning or at the beginning, during the first stage, something like that. Okay, the beans are plucked or taken out, something like that. In the final product is chocolate. So this was about our essay, and this is our this is our process diagram. And always remember that when you get a diagram like this, you have to understand the sequence, how always the sequence follows this way, and then it is, and the stages are given in exact numbers. So that means it is very clear, and this is one of the easiest things. You should be happy that if you get a process diagram in your IELTS, because this is one of the easiest essays you could write in the task 1. And if you have any queries, just put in the comment section. And thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.